everyone. Good morning. My name is Francisco Gonçalves from the European City Facility. Welcome to the EUSEW2025 session on how multi-level collaboration can unlock financing and accelerate clean energy action in cities. This session is coordinated by the European City Facility together with the European Agency for Climate, Infrastructure and Environment, CINEA. This morning we have, I would say, a luxurious panel with Ad Amon from Budapest, Karsten from the Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition, Claire Roumet from Energy Cities, Dan Kruipland from RescuePU, and Egon van der Vijver, I hope I pronounce it correctly, from the city of Mechelen, here next to Brussels. I will start to give you some numbers of the European City Facility, and before we pass also to the intervention of the Commission. So the European City Facility, I'm just waiting for the slides to come. Yes, thank you. So the European City Facility is a session, and I need also to pass the slides. So it's an initiative that started a couple of years ago. So it's a European initiative that is coordinated by Energy Cities that really tries to give technical and financial support to municipalities and groupings of municipalities across Europe, and provides financial and technical support to municipalities. This support is given in two ways. So the financial support by giving a lump sum of 60,000 euros to municipalities across Europe to develop investment concepts, and also a set of technical support through capacity building, country-level support, and also advisory services to support from the engagement in the European City Facility to the implementation of the investment concepts. The goal of the European City Facility through this amount of support is to accelerate the implementation of the clean energy projects and to get them mature to attract both public funding and private financing. In some cases, it also opens the door for allowing to have more complex and to access more complex technical assistance instruments like the ELENA facility or the LIFE PDA. Just some numbers. So the European City Facility started in 2019. We have already organized 7 calls. So it's through the calls that the cities and the groupings of cities can access the European City Facility. We have already 1,500 applications, so cities that try to access the European City Facility, out of which we selected 403 beneficiaries that are actively participating in the European City Facility and are part of this group. This number is increasing because we are signing the grant agreements with the new beneficiaries. We have more than 500 cities engaged, so because we have cities that go in the groupings, it means that we have more cities now. We are active in 26 countries, so the countries where these beneficiaries are coming from. We have now 228 validated investment concepts. We have already used from the EU funds more than 24 million euros, so money that was directly channeled to these beneficiaries, and we have at least in these 400 or in these 228 validated investment concepts, do we have declared investment or a pipeline of more than 24 billion euros. That is the pipeline that is declared in these investment concepts. Just an overview of the demand on the European City Facility. So we started in 2020 with the first call, and we have seen lately an increase on interest on the European City Facility that shows that the interest is there and is an initiative that cities, local authorities are looking for. In the number that I gave you before, so we have this around 24 billion euros that is declared investment or projects in the pipeline of these 228 investment concepts. The biggest, I would say, the biggest share on the projects is clearly in the building sector, so in the public buildings, but also we have in private residential buildings, district heating and cooling networks, building integrated renewables, renewable energy production systems. So just a bit of more granularity in the numbers that I've been showing to you. So we have had already 403 beneficiaries, the number is growing, 228 investment concepts finalized, that also the number is growing. So we want to have all of them validated. We have already started monitoring because we have a monitoring scheme that starts 1 year after the validation. And out of these 92 monitored, 30 of them are in an advanced state of implementation. This means what? If I can pass the next slide. Okay. This means that we have in these projects already 1 billion euros, more than 1 billion euros of investment secured that are in advanced stage of implementation, which means that for each €1 of UCF grant, so of the European Commission grant, led to more than 100 euros of secured investment so far. So this is the numbers that we had so far from the European City Facility, and we can reach some of the conclusions that, as you see, we have an increasing demand of the European City Facility. The interest is there. There is a need, and this is what beneficiaries are saying, of mobilizing not just financial resources, but also human resources. So with this 60,000 euros that we give, the lump sum, the cities can, of course, have some resources, but there is a more systemic also need for these human resources that is needed at the local level. There is also, and this is important, to increase the skills and technical knowledge that is quite relevant in the European City Facility. Also, what we are seeing for these projects that are implementation, that there is still a preference for public funding. So there is still something that we can discuss here. How can we even attract more the private finance? And of course, it's very important, and this also in the finance, more exchanges among beneficiaries from the same country. That includes also not just the local level, other levels of governance and the private sector. So from these are the numbers just to set the scene. I would like also now to welcome Carlos Sanchez from the European Commission, DG ENER, also to make a policy overview and also to kind of comment a bit what I don't think it's a surprise for you, but the numbers that we have shown so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francisco, and good morning to everyone. It's really my pleasure to join you at the EU Sustainable Energy Week, and also in this session to unlock financing and to accelerate the clean energy transition in European cities. That is really a very fundamental objective for Europe. And well, the global energy landscape is evolving, while our objectives are more ambitious than ever. Under the Energy Efficiency Directive, Europe needs to reduce its final energy consumption by 11.7% by 2030. Under the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, we are aiming at having a fully decarbonized building stock by 2050, and we are setting specific goals, such as, for instance, a 16% improvement of the energy performance of the residential building stock by 2030. So achieving these goals requires more than legislation. It requires effective action, and also it requires to deploy financial solutions that are simple, that are scalable, that may have really a clear impact, and that they are very well targeted. Ensuring competitiveness and investments in the energy transition is not only needed for our climate, but it is also an incredible economic opportunity. Energy efficiency is key to taking advantage of this opportunity. is at the core of energy independence, foster a competitive economy and delivers savings for homes and for businesses. This is why the European Union has placed energy efficiency at the heart of its climate and energy agenda. The Affordable Energy Action Plan estimates that the clean energy transition could result in up to 130 billion in savings on fossil fuel imports by 2030 and multiply by 2 this amount by 2040. Energy efficiency alone may bring savings at the scale of 33 billion by 2030 and 70 billion by 2040. Without past improvements, EU energy use today could be 27% higher. That's equal to the combined annual energy consumption of France, the Netherlands, Austria, and Finland. Also looking ahead, more efficient electricity use could reduce the future grid expansion cost by up to 33%. So these aren't abstract figures. They are really tangible benefits for real people and for Europe. A challenging landscape then, but it is also time of opportunities where we can really make the difference on the ground. The investment needed to achieve all these common goals that we are setting is very significant. Public funds alone are not enough. We normally estimate that around 10 to 15% of the total annual investment needs that are in the around 370 billion euros per year, which are needed to meet the 2030 energy efficiency target. We must therefore mobilize the private capital. We need to remove barriers, and we need to create an ecosystem where energy efficiency is very attractive investment. And we need to maximize the impact of public funding. Public funding should act as a catalyst and encourage initiatives that can be replicated, that can be expanded, and that can be scaled up. Consider the saying, give a person a fish and you will feed them for a day, but teach them how to fish and you will feed them for a lifetime. So that's the idea for public funding as well. So we should not aim at having one-time efforts, but to create lasting conditions for future investments. Should empower project developers, offer them guidance for structuring their technical projects in financial terms, facilitating their access to finance, and enabling them to establish concrete investment pipelines. Cities are at the front line of the energy transition, yet they often faced significant financial barriers. Many urban areas struggle to access the capital needed to implement energy projects effectively. Technical assistance is crucial to guide and support cities and communities in this challenge. The evidence shows that in the last 15 years, technical assistance facilities that has been managed by the European Investment Bank and by CINEA have piloted financial innovation and support the creation of large-scale investment pipelines in Europe. With more than 200 projects across Europe, we have achieved investments of over 10 billion euros, representing a leverage factor of more than 30, and maximizing, therefore, the impact of public funding. Implementing these innovative efforts in the energy transition requires collaboration across all levels of governance. Everyone is essential to this mission. Everyone needs to be on the board. We are talking about public authorities, industries, private stakeholders, financial institutions, citizens. Collaboration creates the synergies that open financing opportunities and accelerate energy actions. Together, people can focus on delivering concrete solutions through shared expertise and through innovation. The initiatives that we'll be discussing today are instrumental in creating a common ground for fostering this much-needed collaboration. For instance, under the European Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition, we have involved all 27 member states, more than 50 financial institutions, and we are working together to identify actions to improve the private financing for energy efficiency and to create the conditions for a sustainable and attractive long-term framework. Cities across Europe are eager to move from strategy to action. Since 2020, 1,500 cities has applied to the European City Facility. I think Francisco has been providing all this data with more than 420 applications that we have received in more than 600 cities eventually. And we have managed to secure so far 1 billion euros of investments in energy efficiency and renewables. So I think there are really, really important results. I think Francisco also make reference to the leverage factor that it is achieved through this initiative. I think it is really, really impressive, and it is really the way forward. Well, moreover, we are also now aiming to assist more than 140 local energy communities to grow and to take concrete steps to deliver real benefits for our citizens via the Energy Communities Facility. By leveraging these EU initiatives, we encourage cities and communities to better navigate the complex landscape of energy financing. Well, these initiatives are essential for building our future. A future where energy efficiency is more than saving energy. It is our safe investment with clear returns on economic competitiveness, increased energy security, but also a healthier environment. Europe cannot meet its climate and energy goals without delivering investments in energy efficiency. I think this is also very clear. And cities and communities are central to these efforts. We cannot deliver such investment without collaboration across sectors, across borders, and across institutions. Together, by scaling up investments, removing financial barriers, and fostering multi-level collaboration, we can unlock the full potential of our cities and our communities. Before I close, we'd like to congratulate all of you that are really innovating, and they are leading the energy transition on the ground. Take the future in your hands and continue to lead, sharing best practices and taking advantage of cross-border cooperation. Energy transition is not just a challenge, but it is really, really a great opportunity for taking action, being part of the change. Because to build a sustainable energy future and achieve the EU energy and climate targets together, we need dialogues, we need long-term visions, we need to implement concrete actions in all our regions and cities. So we'll be there, the Commission will be there to support these actions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you very much, Carlos. Unfortunately, I know you have to leave shortly, but I invite you to stay for the first part of the discussion, and you're more than welcome to join us for the discussions. So now here we have the panel. I will start with you, Ada. Welcome. I don't know if you have any short introduction, any comment, reaction to what you heard,
Well, I'm coming from Budapest, and it's in Hungary. What I'd like to say, just really shortly as an introduction, is that to give a little brief overview of the UDICO project, which is under the ESPON initiative. And we gathered all the shortcomings of the Hungarian cohesion policy in respect of climate policy. And I think it is a problem for implementing all the nice energy efficiency policies and targets and ambition what we have in Budapest. Budapest, I guess, is in line with the European climate policy, but the Hungarian energy and climate policy is not in line with the climate policy of the European Union. So there is a block in between Brussels and Budapest in this regard, which is notable and important to see. But if we look at the cohesion policy challenges for Budapest, it is, I have 8 points just to summarize. One is that, the first is that there is a huge centralization in Hungary in terms of the resources and also the programming. And the territorial schemes are very limited, below 10%. So there is no way to interfere in that regard. There is obviously a political obstruction against opposition-led municipalities, and there's a trick for the government to navigate money into those cities and regions where they have their allies. There is no functional urban era approach, so when we are looking at Budapest, which is obviously a bigger territory and there is a big sprawl around it, it's missing. That approach is totally missing. No integrated territorial investment measures since 2014. So in the last 10 years, there is no approach and concept which is taking this into account. Obviously, the government is trying to withdraw and take away lots of responsibilities from the municipalities. So there is no way to interfere in that regard. There's almost in every project what we have from EU funding, but we have only a few. So we have, it is always an enforced partnership. So the government creates a new institutions, and that's the consortia leader. And obviously they are trying not to do their job, which is postponing the spending and the distribution of the money. And if we look at the programming phase when we design and do our work for how to spend the money, there's no involvement of municipalities. And yeah, if we look at the CO2 emission of Budapest, it's 16%. If we look at the greater area of the urban sprawl, it's almost 30%, altogether with the transportation and everything. And so, yes, it would be lovely to have collaboration on multi-level. I'm sure that spending and putting and turning euros into insulation would need agencies, and because municipalities are not really good at, processing this money flow. So there are all kinds of shortcomings, and I'm sure that one of the idea is to really channel money directly to regions and cities if they are capable of processing this money and turn them into real energy efficiency investments. I'm a real and very strong advocate of that idea. Thank you.
Thank you for your strong words, Ada. Karsten, after this statement, your first statement as well.
Thank you very much, Francisco, and thank you, Ada. I will provide a bit of detail on a recently launched initiative initiated by the Commission that Carlos also referred to, which is the European Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition. Briefly, the objective of the coalition is to facilitate the mobilization of additional private finance for energy efficiency investments. And of course, there's a lot of complexity below that. The initiative is really a broadening and deepening of another Commission-initiated initiative that has been running successfully for 10 years up to the summer of 2023. This was the Energy Efficiency Financial Institutions Group, EFIC, which created insights through thematic EU-level working groups and data collection on actually implemented energy efficiency projects, and which has significantly informed subsequent Commission policies in the area. Some of the insights that came out of the EFIC work are that energy efficiency projects do deliver. Both in buildings and in industry, they are often profitable if they can access the right financial solution for their financing. And apart from delivering the energy efficiency savings that can reduce energy cost and pay back a loan or another type of financing, they also deliver multiple benefits to the residents of buildings, to the small and medium enterprises and larger industries that implement them. Examples of this is improved indoor quality, reduced overheating during the summer, better heating of rooms during the winter. So they do have a significant amount of additional non-monetizable benefits on top of the financial benefits. It also delivered an important conclusion that finance is not in itself the problem. There's a lot of finance available. The question is whether it's the right finance, because often the demand is not there. And there can be various reasons for the demand not being there, including the financial solution not being sufficiently targeted to the specific group of population or enterprises, and allowing them to take up the financing. At least we can see the result. The result is that even though this is a both financially and socio-economic meaningful investment, it doesn't happen on the scale that is necessary to meet the EU energy and climate targets. And therefore, we really need to mobilize and get access to and make sure there is takeoff of additional financing to reach the goals. As Carlos also mentioned, with the revised Energy Efficiency Directive and the EPBD recast from the last 2 years, the legislative framework on an EU level is now in place. Now it's about implementation. And actual implementation doesn't happen in Brussels, it happens in the member states, in the governments and in the cities and out with the citizens and the enterprises. And this is where the new coalition is a broadening and a deepening of earlier initiatives, because it brings together the Commission, financial institutions and member states in a more committing cooperation. And the committing part is that there's a policy declaration on energy efficiency financing and the coalition signed by the Commission and all the member states. And each of the financial institutions who have signed up, and we are currently getting more financial institutions in, have committed to a statement of intent of assisting in improving the supply of energy efficiency financing and better target products and getting them out and living. Now, on the member state level, the novelty here is that there will be national hubs established in each of the 27 member states, and these national hubs will be the operative, action-oriented arm of the coalition on a national level. Spain has been the first mover. They are already up and running with a national hub, but shortly behind them are now the Czech Republic, Estonia, and Ada, you will be appreciative of this, Hungary. And they are all very committed. So this is really good. We do expect to have around 15 national hubs operating by the end of the year. At least that's the target. Now, recognizing that problems are different in different countries, the industry structure is different, the housing structure is different, and the financial solutions available are different. Each member state will define their own mandate for the national hub, their own work program, and the activities of the national hub. Key challenges, of course, will be things like how do we get the residential sector in on the significant improvement in energy efficiency and energy standards that are required under the EPBD, and how do we get the large SME segment with all the challenges they face to also take up energy efficiency investments and implement them. This is important. Now, people live in cities. They don't live only in a country, they live in cities, and cities also have loads of SMEs in the commercial sector, in the service sector, and in the industry sector. And they also sometimes have larger enterprises, although they tend to kind of move out of the city. But that means that cities are actually much closer to the final implementers of energy efficiency projects than the Commission, but also than the central government. So therefore, we do think that the cities have an important role to play in their relation to the citizens, to the SMEs, and in liaisons with the national hub. We will encourage cities to engage with the national hubs when they are up and running, because the national hubs will give you a forum to discuss important issues like the national strategy for energy efficiency financing, to contribute your project pipeline from the cities into a national aggregation, and to discuss gaps in the available financing. Are there instruments that you really need for your projects that are not available in your country? Maybe they are available in other countries and can inspire your government. And to discuss the barriers that you experience in implementation of projects, for instance, in relation to retrofitting of multifamily housing, and what kind of solutions could be found for these. So we do think there is an important link between the coalition and the cities out in the member states.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much. We are going to get more in depth in the national hubs a bit later. Now, Claire, welcome. Any first reaction to what you've heard? Any first comment that you'd like to share with us?
Thank you very much, Francisco. So indeed, Energy Cities has been one of the key organizations behind the design of the EUCF. And what I wanted to say first is that it shows that how important it is to take time to design a facility very well, and to do it in partnership with the Commission, because I think this is really something that has been, I think I've said that already in a number of other moments where we had to try to take stock on this facility, but the co-design was very, very key. What it shows also is that if we would have the possibility to transfer the entire EU budget that is going to hydrogen to energy efficiency, we would make probably no need for hydrogen at all. And I think this would be a much better way to use the EU money. When you see the leverage factor of 1 to more than 100, and this is only what we are sure about, because what you didn't show in the slide is that this is what is secured, but what is not yet secured and almost secured is a lot more, multiplied by 4. So this is really a tool that we knew it was needed, and that is now showing that it is delivering. So I think there is no other tool that delivers as much as the EU City facility. And I'm so glad now that indeed there is a new facilities designed and with the same kind of model that will help on other sectors, so that indeed we can really leverage on having some more collective expertise that is built. And then what I think we're still missing, though, it's the work on the community and on really capturing the expertise. So you were saying indeed that you need to the national hubs, and we will come back later, so I'm not going to expand too much on that, but the idea that we need to have those conversations to know what are the obstacles. I think the obstacles now, we are starting to know them very, very well, and even the solutions, we are also starting to know it very well, but it doesn't help to make it happen. So I think this is really where now we can build more about the solutions are known. We know which exact legislation needs to be moved, and how we can maybe move more on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Good that you mentioned about the Energy Communities facility. We are going also to talk more in depth about that later. Dan, I don't know if you have first comments, first
an opening
reactions.
Statement. Thanks very much for having me. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to address you here in beautiful Brussels at the European Sustainable Energy Week. My name is Daan Kreupland, and I sign up as the coordinator of RESCO-PU, which is the European Federation of Energy Communities. And our network represents 2,500 initiatives across the EU. And even though they vary in scale, structure, and technology, they all share one and the same thing. It's their commitment to placing citizens and municipalities at the heart of the energy transition. And one thing that often strikes me in high-level policy discussions is that energy communities are often represented as a technical solution. It's something about energy sharing, about dynamic pricing, or about ways to provide flexibility to the grid. And of course, these things are important, but they are just tools. They are not the purpose. Let me be very clear, an energy community is far and foremost a social model. It's about citizens. It's about people and municipalities self-organizing around energy with the purpose of creating long-term value for their communities. Social value, environmental value, economic value, and yes, even sometimes football value. And let me illustrate this with a story from beautiful Germany. It's the story of Warendorf's, I hope I pronounce it right, football club. And it's a modest team with big ambitions. The club was on the brink of a historic promotion, but to play in the next league, they needed to install a roof over their stands. And unfortunately, all their money went into buying new players. And the infrastructure was out of reach. Now, Germans wouldn't be Germans if they wouldn't come up with a plan. And so they said to themselves, we're schaffen das. And so the fans stepped in. And together with the club, the players, the municipality, and the local citizens created an energy community. They issued shares, installed solar PV on top of their stands, and generated revenue to finance the new roof. And in return, the members received dividends. Some people got free match tickets, while others got a sausage every time they went to see a game. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about the profits. It's about pride, it's about purpose, and it's about collective ownership. And I think this is the essence of an energy community. They identify a local need, and they mobilize local actors, and they use energy as a tool. It's not a purpose, it's a tool to meet that need. It's democratic, it's inclusive, and we've seen in the network of ResCop that it works. Now, as we look to implement the Green Industrial Deal and reshape our energy system, I think it's important that we remember that it's not just a technological transition. I think it's a social transition as well. And I think we can only succeed if we bring local actors with us, not as a footnote or as a pilot, but as a core part of the mainstream energy model. So in closing, I want to call on all policymakers, regulators, and institutions at all levels to support this movement, protect it, enable it, and let's remove the barriers that stand in the way. Let's provide targeted support to energy communities ready to lead, and let's create the conditions for participation and not just local compliance. Because only when we empower local actors, only when we democratize our energy system, we will build an energy transition that is truly sustainable, just, and resilient. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Igor, not to you, to Mechelen. How are you also coping with this transition that we have been speaking now? Do you have any first statement you'd like to share? Yes, it's working. It's working.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm Igor van Wever. So I work at the city of Mechelen, and Mechelen it's big in Flanders, but it's very small in Europe. We are a middle-sized city of 87,000 inhabitants, and I'm responsible for the municipal heat plan. So that's our vision or our strategy to phase out fossil fuel consumption by 2050 and switch to heat pumps, heat networks, and other fossil-free heating for all the buildings in Mechelen. And I absolutely agree with the fact that cities have a role to play in this energy transition. And to illustrate with the topic of the heat transition, that was our reasoning to also establish a local heat coalition. So with 25 key actors, because we think we have a role to play, but we cannot do it on our own. So we need collaborations with other actors that can also engage and spend and commit with their resources for implementing this challenge. And two of the key actors in our heat coalition are also local energy cooperatives, so Klimaan and EcoPower. So and these actors we do need. And why am I sitting here? So we were one of the beneficiaries of the second call of the EU City facility, and the EU City Facility grant really enabled us to work on a specific challenge, more in particular the deep renovation of co-owned condominiums, because at that time it was still a major weakness in the Flemish renovation policy that was really more oriented towards single-family homes and individually owned homes, although a third of the citizens in Mechelen live in co-owned condominiums. And the EU City Facility grant really enabled us to see what it takes to renovate all the co-owned condominiums in Mechelen. And it also stimulated us to look at a more with an entrepreneurial mindset, and to not really approach it in a very operational way. Okay, just give advice to the citizens, but really, okay, what do we need to take? What kind of investments do we need, and how can we make this investment concept? And we were able to follow this also up with a live project, Condoreno, in which we really were able to set up a home renovation service for this specific type of buildings. And very recently, we will start now with a live project, Refined, and that's a project development assistance project in which we really can now scale it up, our approach, and unlock investments in these co-owned condominium retrofits, and at the same time also look at other ways, alternative ways of financing these investments. So, to summarize or to end my introduction, I also am a strong believer of this, the multi-governance approach. So, City of Mechelen is, and I also think that this link between renovation and energy supply, so in my case, sustainable heating and cooling, it's very important, and that was also why we are with City of Mechelen involved in the thematic partnership of the Urban Agenda, the partnership on building decarbonization. We are part of the coordinator team, and in the partnership we also have a Hungarian municipality, so the municipality of Baja County. So but I think more on that later. So
thank you so much, Igor. We are going to get more in depth also in the secrets behind the success of Mechelen. So this is just a teaser for later. Carlos, I don't know, I know you have to leave, but I don't know if you would like to share anything from what you heard, if you have any comments for these first statements of our panelists.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I would just repeat a bit myself. What I hear is that they are all really important initiatives that are going on. I think we are really going in the right direction. We have made a lot of progress in the last years. We are we are doing really a lot of advancement when it comes to, for instance, cooperation. And I think that Carsten presented very well the role of the coalition, that it is really a project that within the Commission we consider it is really fundamental, because collaboration and cooperation is fundamental. And I'm very happy to see that there is a clear, of course, understanding on the important role of cities in the process, because I think it is really fundamental that to be able to get action on the ground, and for that we need cities. We also need citizens and also enterprises. There was another reflection on the importance on stimulating the demand, and I think that's also very, very important when we are really devising what are the different projects that we need to put together, how we can stimulate, financing, how we can trigger investments, and I think it is very important to also look into that part, to look into citizens, SMEs, what are their needs, what can trigger really a decision from their side. So this is also something that we are trying to take pretty much into consideration. So.
Thank you very much. Please stay with us if you want to comment and to ask and to respond anything while you're here. Please just tell me, and I will give you the microphone. Just for the audience, so there is a slide that you can make the questions. I will open the questions to the audience shortly, but there is also a slide and there is also a microphone here, but I think this is also streamed online, so maybe we have also questions at home. I'm starting now with the first questions. I will start with the cities. Ada, here, Hungary has 38 beneficiaries, cities, participating in the European City Facility, which accounts for almost 10% of our beneficiaries, which is a very successful, I would say, achievement. You're also a member of the strategic board of the European City Facility, so we have a board that also shapes the calls and also explains why we have a high demand for the European City Facility. As working in Budapest and in Hungary, how can you explain the success of the European City Facility and hopefully also from the Energy Communities Facility in your city and your country?
Well, after my introduction, you can tell that they are very desperate. They are desperate to have some support. And the EUCF, and I'm proud of being on the strategic board, because now I have a very good overview of what's happening in Europe in this regard. But I can say that the Hungarian municipalities, and look through the cities and the districts which are part of this project, it's all, I mean, they are all kinds. They are small and big, and they are Fidesz-led municipalities and opposition-led municipalities. None can have support from the government. And that's why all kinds of support which is given to the cities, which are obliged to have climate action plans, and in most of them, and I mean, in the cities, the most emission is coming from residential buildings, so they have a duty to deal with residential buildings. But they don't have resources, they don't have support, they don't have assistance in that endeavor, and therefore they are very active on this facility. And just to, not just to complain, but also give you some good news and report on successes. We have multi-level collaboration in Budapest as well, I mean, but it is below the national level. So the city pledged some money for energy efficiency in residential buildings, And I led the negotiation with the district mayors, and all pledged a tiny amount of money, but altogether it came together like 12 million euros, which will eventually generate 40 million investment in prefabricated buildings. But this is just to demonstrate, and hope it will really demonstrate success, that an agency on a city level can process and can be the engine of energy efficiency refurbishments and be the lead on energy efficiency investments, and hope that will be part of the Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition, or will be taken into account when the Commission is preparing for the next MFF, and will try at least give a little bit of money into direct sources to cities and regions which are probably already part of EUCF and can demonstrate the willingness and the commitment and having a good plan to channel that money directly into cities.
Thank you. Igor, back to you. So you were mentioning that you started with the EUCF, and now you have the Refined project. What is your secret for attracting so much EU funds and to really capture the different instruments that are there? Do you have 3 top recommendations that you'd like to give to other cities? The ingredients for your success?
Not sure if I want to share my secret, but well, I think the first one that pops into my mind is collaboration, because that was also something that we really looked for in the Refined project, and especially when in Refined, our goal is to, our focus is really residential retrofits, and do it with a collective or a neighborhood approach, so whole neighborhoods or owned condominiums. Really, we want to focus on these typologies, and we also look into other ways of financing these renovations. So for the neighborhoods, we look more at on-tax financing, so using the tax income as a way to pre-finance our renovations, and with for our owned condominiums are more looking into systems with energy performance contracting, or setting up a kind of ESCO readiness framework, so to under which conditions are owned condominiums ready to enter a collaboration with an energy service company, and have them not only invest, have them invest in the energy efficiency measures, and also support them during the operation. And it's especially for this project, we really looked at collaborations with financing sector and investors, which is a difficult sector to reach out or to convince. But in the and we also experienced that. But we really invested in close consultations with financial institutions, with investors, and in the end, when we collected our letters of support, we had a very good share of investors and financiers. They committed in the last week, but well, we had them. And I also think this, I see really the value of these national hubs from the Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition, because that's also we want to set up with Refined at a local level. But you see, a local level, it's maybe too small. So you should do it on a more higher level, regional level, or national level, and that's where collaborations comes in. So I think that's my my first one. Not sure about the second and the third yet, but
you can think.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Karsten. I wanted to dig a bit in also on the national hubs, but before also in the collaboration with the citizens and businesses at local, regional level. So the involvement of the private sector is critical to the investment. So you mentioned that. We are also working in the EU mission climate neutral and smart cities, and we have seen in the climate city contracts at least of the 92 cities that have been awarded with the mission label, that they have produced also investment plans. And more than 90% of the investment is not from the city, it's not from the municipality. It's from businesses, from national level, from the citizens. From your point of view and from your coalition, how can we mobilize the citizen investment in energy efficiency, for instances, mainly for the residential sector? And how can we engage with the small enterprises in the energy efficiency improvements in industrial and commercial sectors?
I think that's a really good question. It would take at least 1.5 hours to answer.
You have 3 minutes.
I'll try to do it in a couple of minutes. No, I think it's key. I mean, I think you're touching upon the two big challenges in energy efficiency financing: the residential sector and the SMEs. I think the starting point here is that it's very important to ensure that there is a communication that energy efficiency actually works. It's well documented, but there is so much doubtful information out there in the market, in particular in some countries. And I think it's very important to create credibility in energy efficiency. That is done by communicating that energy efficiency projects do deliver. They deliver not only the energy savings, but also often, in particular in the residential sector, significant improvements in indoor climate, which is often the biggest benefit for the beneficiary. And I think a way of doing that is for the government or the cities to communicate directly to citizens, to have citizens meetings if there is a national initiative, to ensure that your citizens in the individual city also are aware of what is happening. Possibly to volunteer for having a one-stop shop where people can go and discuss their particular renovation challenges, get information on credible suppliers, possible financing solutions, sometimes commercial, sometimes blended financing. And I think it's important to understand that if we look at the residential sector, that there are several segments and it's not one size fits all. There is a segment which can actually be financed on commercial basis. And that's the relatively resource-strong group of people. And they should do this because it's economic for them, because it's good for their health, and because it's the right thing to do. They should not necessarily have a subsidy. But then there's also a significant group of households that are energy poor or living in very challenged buildings with very low energy renovation standards. Unfortunately, those two groups tend to overlap, that the poorest also live in the worst buildings. And they often do not have access to funding on commercial basis because they're not creditworthy. So for them, it's very important to come up with blended solutions where a guarantee mechanism or other thing is being provided by the government or by the commission through the national entities, national promotional banks or other. And then there is a blended element of some commercial financing because they do get energy savings. So I think that's kind of the key problem is you need to have credible information. People have to get easy access to this, for instance, through a one-stop shop. And then you need to have some targeted instruments for the specific groups in the market. A affluent household could easily do with a green loan from a financial institution on commercial basis, but significant parts of the population would need some kind of support to access the financing for deeper renovation of the buildings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You want to hear the SME story also?
Yes, I would love, but 1 minute afterwards. So thank you. And Claire, just so this 10% of the investment and that is needed from the municipality side sometimes is also difficult to be used. So the European City Facility is giving financial resources, technical resources, assistance to the cities to develop and implement investment concepts. We are tackling the barrier of the lack of resources and skills in public administrations, but in a very targeted way, while in many cases the issue is systemic. So we have the lack of resources, very difficult to hire to the public institutions or to the public sector, lack of attractiveness of a career in the public sector. Can you bring some examples where this persistent barrier is being addressed and solutions that could be important to lever this climate action in cities?
Unfortunately, I think I have more problems to add to the list than real solutions, because one of the things that municipalities are now getting, it's an extra obstacle actually that was not existing so much before, and that is adding onto the list of obstacles. And it's the fact that there is a complete contradiction in some of the policies that are coming from the EU and that are being implemented at national level. From one side, the European Commission is insisting a lot and everyone agrees, and the cities are super committed, and they are enthusiastic is maybe not the word, but they want to do it. It's the implementation of the Green Deal. They know it's good for them. They know it's good for their local community. There is absolutely no one you need to convince them. They are very pragmatic, and they know they have to do it, and they will do it. And in the other hand, there is the national governments that are playing, as Ada was just mentioning it before, but they are playing the fact that, we have a huge debt because of the COVID, then we need to now spend much less, and our deficit and public debts are really skyrocketing, and it's because of local authorities. Because it's the easiest. It's the easiest to go and blame and try to take them some of the budget. So what we currently see and witness is a huge threat and extra burden on local authorities' fiscal capacity, on local authorities' budgets, that actually is really, they are put under pressure by the national governments to reduce the costs. So it's completely contradictory to the fact that everything we know and we have been also documenting is that now you need real implementers. So you need a transition team in each of the local authority that is doing transversal planning. You need to have EUCF, so a specific expertise, so that indeed you can really do really in-depth planning. So, for example, in Lyon, they have done, thanks to the the city facility, they have done a huge in-depth planning of their deep renovation of the municipal buildings. Why they have started to do that? It's because they needed that expertise. They didn't have it inside, and they then could build on also their own energy agency. So this expertise exists at local level. You just need to try to really use it the best way possible for a larger area. So this is, I agree with you also, Ada, in the sense that it's really very important that the expertise that is localized is not for only one municipality. It's something that can help all the municipalities around. It's about those territorial, urban, more province level almost. So what they have done in Lyon is that they started to say, okay, well, we have a huge problem. There is an energy price crisis. It means that our bills have been increased a lot. To have something in mind, Lyon energy bill from the city is 32 million a year. That's the energy bill for Lyon. What they managed is first doing a huge sufficiency effort. So something that needs no investment. Sufficiency is when you rethink your needs, when you rethink your use. So they rethought the use of the municipal building. They tried to make it much more used, and not only during the day for the schools, but also during the night for associations. So rethinking your use first, reducing everything you need. Because there is many things we do that we just maybe don't need. So it was also changing the temperature, indoor temperature, in some municipal buildings that were not completely used. They managed a 10% decrease from 2022, 10% less without any investment. If you have the time to think, if you have the time to plan, to really strategize your building, your municipal building. But for that, they needed to know also what the municipal buildings were, what they were consuming, how much they were used. So they use also the city facility for doing first this sufficiency, really rethinking the needs and the use of the municipal building. And then now they have a multi-annual year plan of 22 million a year of investment to refurbish deeply all municipal buildings, so that soon enough, because it's difficult to always set a date, because construction works always tend to be a little bit more lengthy. They will have almost not a zero municipal energy bill, but an extremely reduced municipal energy bill. So this is a good example. But to answer your question about the need of the technical assistance, I think it's that we really need to reinforce and reinvestigate the need for a regional energy agency, and also to ensure that municipalities have the capacity and that when you employ someone, it's not considered as a debt, it's considered as an investment for the future of the municipality. I had also a point about the fact that we really need to enlarge the technical assistance that we currently provide to also legal expertise, because we also see that municipalities, they want to invest more in terms of citizen public contracts, but not only for production, but also for everything. This new municipalization in a way of energy. There is a big, now that there is such a crisis, we see a very big demand from local authorities to own, or at least to have a minimum of a power on their own energy supply.
Absolutely. Thanks, Claire. Dan, let's talk about energy security and how energy communities have a role on it. You're launching, or you have launched already, the new energy communities facility that is going to support, I think, more than 100 energy communities across Europe. Can you tell us a bit more about this initiative? And also, we have European EUSEW beneficiaries that have developed investment concepts on energy communities. Also, how can local authorities access this facility? Give us some details. Tell us everything about that.
Everything. All right.
How can Mechelen get it?
Exactly.
The
That's
success
a very good
city.
question. I'm not going to go too much into who can benefit from what. But the Energy Communities Facility is a brand new initiative. It's an initiative that is mostly designed for energy communities, which is a legal concept. It's defined by European law, and it's embedded in two important directives. There's the Renewable Energy Community that is featured in the Renewable Energy Directive. And there is the Citizen Energy Community that is defined by the Internal Electricity Market Design Directive. So it's legally defined, and it's a legal form, it's a legal entity that provides opportunities to local actors to speed up and to take control over energy transition projects. So it does provide opportunities not only to citizens, but also to municipalities, including cities, of course, and SMEs. But it's a legally defined concept, and it's the main focus of the European Energy Communities Facility, of course. So that's the target audience. One of the key things that we see in RESCOP is that a lot of energy communities set up business, and they really struggle to secure the funding to get to a viable business model. And usually when you set up an energy community or any kind of business, it takes quite some volunteers and quite some effort before you can actually implement your first project and generate a revenue. So this is exactly where the Energy Communities Facility will come in play, and it will help energy communities to bridge the gap. And so we just launched the first call for applications last week on the 2nd of June, and it will be open until September 30th. And the European Energy Communities Facility will provide lump sum grants worth 45,000 euros. Unlike the city facility, we have less money available. But nevertheless, it will provide financial support of 45,000 euro to 146 energy communities that we will select from across the EU. The eligible countries are obviously the member states, but there's also some other countries that can benefit from this program, including North Macedonia, Ukraine, there's Iceland, and then there's
Moldova, I think.
Moldova, of course. So energy communities that are operating in this geographical context can apply for funding and can apply for financing support from the facility. I already mentioned there will be 2 calls for applications. We just launched the first one where we will hopefully select 73 beneficiaries, and then the second call will be planned later on for next year. And it will, of course, be open to those that didn't make it in the first call. Now, a lot of people get excited when they hear funding, and they might apply for the wrong reasons. I always tend to say that the European Energy Communities Facility is mostly designed for energy communities that are in need of financial support to develop a business plan that complies to our standards. So that is going to be the prerequisite for them to access the funding. But the funding is just the carrot. I think the real value of the facility lies in getting recognition from an EU initiative. It's being part of a European network of like-minded organizations that are trying to achieve the same goal. I think being connected and being embedded into this network, getting access to training material and being trained by the best people that we have in our network, I think is going to be far more valuable than just the financial grant that you get at the end of the journey. So I think the financial scheme is just the carrot, and it will take quite some consideration and effort from beneficiaries to participate in this bubble. Nevertheless, we hope that the European Energy Communities Facility can act as a blueprint. Not only do we hope that it can be replicated at EU level, but I think it has great potential to be replicated at lower levels. To those who are familiar with EU policy in the context of energy communities, you might know that member states have to transpose the definitions, and they have to make sure that they get embedded into national legislation. But they also have to put in place enabling frameworks, allowing these initiatives to thrive and compete on equal grounds with regular market actors. So we do hope that the facility and the way it is designed at EU level can also be replicated further down the line at the national level. And maybe to answer the question, is the Energy Communities Facility also interesting to municipalities or to cities. I think it definitely is. It provides a great opportunity for municipalities and cities to team up with their citizens, set up an energy community and apply for funding and get you to develop a business plan and be embedded into this European network. As I said, the first call for applications was published last week. It will be open until September 30th. So I encourage cities, citizens, energy communities from all over Europe to apply and be part of this great success. And I think on the website of the Energy Communities Facility, which is energycommunitiesfacility.eu, you will find an FAQ, but also an eligibility self-check. So you can check whether you actually comply with the definition and whether you are eligible to benefit from this support scheme. There's obviously also all the call requirements and all the information you need to know about this great initiative. So voila. I hope we will receive many applications and that we will have a lot of work after the summer assessing all of these.
Congratulations for the Energy Communities Facility and the best of luck, and also for the applicants that hopefully will be a lot. I think one of the advantages of having in-person events is also to allow the interaction with the audience. We have a microphone here. We have many participants here. I don't know if you have any question that you'd like to put to the panel. Please raise your hand. There is one in the back there. I would just like to ask if the person can also identify him or herself.
Good morning. I'm Anna Bayomi, working for FEANTE, the Federation of Homeless Service Providers, on the topic of socially fair energy transition. And this panel was really interesting. Thanks a lot for all the input. I'm also very happy to hear the news about Budapest, where I'm also from, and I've been living in a high-rise building where in the summer it was extremely hot and there was very little hope to get any insulation work done, but maybe that will be done finally. I have two questions. The first, as I work for the homeless service providers and our members also occupy really inefficient buildings, shelters and day centers and other service buildings. If you have any good examples of using this facility to renovate socially purpose buildings within the public building stock. And my other question is related to the topic of making the funding accessible for lower income households that might also face the same issue as cities, that they not only need guarantees, but they also struggle to put together the own share from the limited budget, and also the EU directives that were cited many times require member states to secure that public funding is dedicated to vulnerable households, as well as also enabling private finance to enter the rest of society. So if you have examples on these two fields, I would be really happy to listen to them. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if there is any other question. So, Christina. So while the microphone goes to Christina, I can just answer that the European City Facility is supporting many of the cities, many cities that having housing projects, social housing projects, so public buildings that are social housing. So we have a couple of cities that search for our support for that. I can give you my email afterwards, and I can give you more details about the projects that are working on social housing. Christina.
Hello, good morning. My name is Cristina Daniel. I work in an energy and environment agency in Portugal. And this is not a question, but more a request or a challenge to the representatives of the EU here. It's related with energy communities and possibility or not possibility of municipalities to participate, because at least in Portugal and in Spain and some other countries, due to the public tender rules, municipalities cannot be members of energy communities in full. It's very interesting, and at least in Portugal we have this directive already transposed to the national law, but it is impossible for municipalities or for public entities to become members of energy communities. We are a partner in the We Share project that is here presented, and we are trying to install or to create an energy community in the municipality of Sines. But it is very difficult, so it is involving business park. We are trying to involve the municipality and the port of Sines. That is very important. And we have serious difficulties. So we think that until the end of the project, maybe we can create the energy community, but only with the companies of the business parks. And so it is very difficult. We are trying also to develop some changes or policy proposals that at the end can be analyzed by the national government and also by the EU to try to, I don't know, promote among the countries, the state members, some specific changes in this kind of rules so that they can participate for real in these energy communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Cristina. Absolutely. I think that the energy communities directive have been unequally transposed in many countries. So back to you, Dan. If you have 1 minute, because we have 8 minutes to finalize, and I want to give the word to each one of you before closing. 1 minute. I don't know if you would like to respond to this.
1 minute, let's go. I think it's important to remind ourselves that although we have these definitions featured in the clean energy package, member states have to transpose them. They do not only have to transpose them, they also have to assess the potential of energy communities within the respective territories. They have to identify any potential barriers that prevent these initiatives from setting up business, and they have to put in place enabling frameworks. Now, on the website of RESCOPE, we have what we call a transposition tracker, and we've been assessing all EU member states on the back of this, and we've been focusing mostly on the definitions and the extent to which member states have actually proceeded with the transposition of the definitions, and then we made an assessment of the enabling frameworks. So it looks like a traffic light assessment, and you will see a map of Europe that highlights different countries with different color schemes. So I kindly invite everyone to have a look on the website. I think when it comes to the definitions, most member states have transposed the definitions, which I think is good. Not all of them have done that in a consistent way. Most member states have just copy-pasted the European definitions and have not provided for any contextualization, which is sometimes essential. There's also, unfortunately, very bad examples of member states who have transposed the definitions, but the definition doesn't look anything like the European one. And to reflect on Portugal in particular, we're very much aware of the situation in Portugal. I think the transposition of the definition was done, and it doesn't provide equal opportunities to cities to engage in an energy community. That's not the only problem. I think in Portugal, one of the things we've heard from our member in Portugal, which is Copernic, they've informed us through the policy working group of RESCOPE that the concept of energy sharing and that of an energy community is highly conflated. And as a consequence of that, it also means that the enabling framework for energy communities that should help those initiatives to thrive and compete on equal grounds hardly distinguish from energy sharing models that are operated by regular market actors and by big companies. So I think there's definitely a need, and I think we need to call upon all decision makers at all levels, including the European one, but also the national level, to address this problem and make sure that the right initiatives can benefit from the right support mechanisms.
Thank you. Karsten, in 1 minute. I promised I would come to the national hubs, and also because the European City Facility is organizing national dialogues with the private sector, with the national level. We are having in 11 countries that we have a high uptake. So how do you see a possibility of cooperation with your national hubs? Your microphone.
I think it's quite. Sorry, I think it's quite clear. The coalition will assist the member states in establishing the national hubs. That means assistance for running thematic working groups on specific challenges in the individual countries. It means also knowledge sharing, what has worked in other countries in the specific areas of challenges. But the outreach from the national level and from the ministry that is the chair of the hub, typically the Ministry of Energy or the Ministry of Climate, the outreach from there and out to where the actual projects are has to be through existing national structures. And in this context, cooperations and dialogues like the energy communities are a key resource. So I can only encourage the cities that are members of energy communities to keep a track of the webpage of the coalitions. Is on the Commission website, where you will be able to see which countries have national hubs established, and then reach out to your national hub and discuss what is your project pipeline, what are the challenges you're meeting, and the national hub in a member state can also use the other national hubs as a sounding board. Have any of you solved this problem? Because the chance is that some other EU27 country has actually come up with a solution and maybe even implemented it.
Thank you. We have 3 minutes. I don't know, I would like you to, if you have any final remarks, something you forgot that you'd like to add to the discussion.
Well, I think that all these discussions are going into the direction of how to use better public finance in cities. As I started in the beginning, unlike the Hungarian government, the cities, usually in Hungary even, have a much better climate and energy policy than the government. And in this energy policy, our target and our energy infrastructures are the buildings. So if we want to support energy efficiency, it is really an infrastructural investment, because the use of energy determines basically the production and generation and everything. So I think it is a very important acknowledgement that multi-apartment buildings and all the energy efficiency investments in buildings won't happen without big support. Let it be information and all these enabling services of making sure that the plumber and all the craftsmen are coming and they give good services. So there are many angles of this, and the main issue for me is really how to define this support and how to understand the policymakers that this is the other end of the energy infrastructure. And if we don't change that infrastructure on the demand side, it won't change the supply side. And that is very much concentrated in the cities, since most of us live in cities, and more people would love to live in cities no matter what. And the Hungarian government is supporting small villages which are getting empty. But at the end of the day, people would like to move into cities, and we need to decarbonize that part of our society.
Thank you, Ada. Igor, any last remark?
Yes, it was mentioned that we have potential with the recast of the Energy Efficiency Directive and the Energy Performance Directive and the other directives. They are have to be transposed now, but the real challenge is the implementation, which will be done on the local level by cities. So therefore, it's also important to really involve those cities in the policy-making process, because I can assure you that during the implementation, as was a bit already illustrated in Portugal, there will be lessons learned and things that have to be improved or that can be learned from the local level and from the field experience. And for us, that was one of the what stimulated us to take a coordinating role in the Building Decarbonization Partnership. What sets this initiative apart from, for instance, EU projects we are involved in, is the fact that we directly engage with the European Commission, because the European Commission is also a member of our partnership, just as other cities and national governments and other sectors like financial institutions in this partnership. And the European Commission is really willing to learn from our experience at the local level while we are implementing, in this case, the articles from the Energy Efficiency Directive, the EPBD, the Renewable Energy Directive, and the market reform, which includes the articles on the energy communities. So, so in that sense, I hope this model of multi-level collaboration will also be replicated at local level, at national level, and this way of working will also be continued at the European level.
Thank you very much. And the last, Claire, and I give you the role also to conclude because we don't have time, so
yes.
I'll give the burden to you to conclude.
It's fine.
Just the final remarks from your side, please.
Thank you. I would only say 2 words because I think you've splendidly did the conclusion that actually, because we are now getting into the implementation phase of all the Green Deal legislations, we do need a completely revised governance of that, because it's not the governance we have imagined on energy and climate policies is about a legislation setting. It's not about implementation, and so now we need to revise that so that indeed we are adequately equipped for this implementation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Ada, Karsten, Claire, Dan, Igor, Carlos, many thanks, and I hope you had a very nice session. This comes to the end of this session, and thanks for your participation, for your attendance. Thank you very much, and also for the European City Facility that is here. So also huge thanks. This work is also thanks to them. Have an excellent morning.